again. So anyways, coming back to this. I'm just going to leave it at the Dynamesh rate that we're at for right now and say screw it. We're just going to come in and turn off the symmetry. And again, I'm just going to look at my picture here. To do on my other monitor. Got it all nice and set up. And I'm going to start focusing in on some of the details. And some of the details that I'm talking about being like the nice gouges and cuts in his face. And again, we can't see the other side, but I can kind of like wing it, right? So we're just going to kind of like do what we came here to do, which is the art of this, okay? So again, just coming in here, just analyze the brush that you probably need to use. I'm just going to go ahead and use the damn standard brush for this this eye piece right here. And if you don't have a steady hand, okay, for the most part, like I have a pretty steady hand when it comes to like doing this stuff. So I'm just going to kind of come in and gouge it. You know, just do it real quick, like boop, and there's that cut. Or what you can do is you can come up to stroke. In the lazy mouse, it's by default on. If you turn up the lazy mouse radius a bit, like that's probably a little too much. You can see that it makes that tail, right? It prevents it from doing like that, like if I was to turn this off, right? If I push L and I do this, look at it, like it's like wee, I'm scribbling. Whereas if I turn it back on, like it doesn't really do it so much. It follows that tail. So you can get a smoother kind of brush stroke, okay? So again, I'm just going to kind of come in here and say, he's like, oh, I cut my face. And again, sometimes you go back and forth. I'm just gouging it in pretty deep. And he's got another gouge like on his temple, right? And then he's got one across his nose, comes into his nose right here. And, you know, from here it's just, we've got the gouges in. He's got one on his chin. It's nice too. Right there. And again, I'm going to kind of go, maybe he's got a cut right here. You know, maybe he's got one on his cheek over here. We don't know. We just don't know. Let's kind of sculpt them in, right? And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and re-Dynamesh at the lower Dynamesh. Because what that's going to do is it's going to kind of fill it in with the resolution. It's like if you had clay, it's like adding clay in a sense. So just redoing that, it cleans up some of the topology on the edges here. Okay? And again, one of the things that you kind of need to do when you're thinking about this stuff is, it's one thing to look at a painting, it's another thing to like look at a picture. And I know this is like one of those lovely things that everybody would love to look up, like, you know, scars. And type it in Google and find a bunch of scars and stuff like that. Sometimes you get some great stuff. I always get afraid to Google search stuff. But yeah, so we're just going to come in. I'm using my damn standard brush holding Alt. And just kind of, I want to sharpen the corners of this is basically what I'm doing. I'm pulling them up and out to sharpen it. Okay? You can see that it kind of like makes like a lip almost to that. Right? Because generally when you slice skin, it slices and it flays open. The reason it flays open is because your skin is tight and it's pulley, right, on either side, so it like flays open when you do it. Some of the places he's got cuts though won't flay open as bad, but I'm just kind of flaying them for right now. Okay, so on the outsides of these, drawing some big old gouges in there. The nose one's going to be kind of tough because of the level of detail we're at right now. So for now, I'm just going to kind of like lightly do that one. We won't pay too much attention to that. The forehead and the chin and the other one are pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my my pinch brush, BPI, and where the eyebrow meets here, it's much more pinched together than in the middle of the head here. So I might want to just take in the middle of it, like up towards this middle here. And I'm just going to pinch the edge of this so it kind of sharpens out the edge. Okay? Maybe make my brush a little bit bigger and close that up a bit as I go. right, and close up the top of the cut. And you can see it kind of like gives you that nice like lip to the edge of it, and then it fills in the back part. And again, doing the same thing for the side one. You know, we'll pinch some of that together, and then pinch the edge of the corner, or the lip of the cut there. Come back in, resize the brush, right? Come to the one, our imaginary one on the other side that we don't really know if it exists. And just kind of do the same sort of deal here. Okay, same with the one on the chin. And then I'll start to add in those cuts that he's got in his face, right? Same with the one on the nose. The nose one's going to be hard because, again, the level of detail that we have. So I'm just going to kind of rough it a bit and like leave it like that. Again, since we're working in asymmetry, what we want to start doing is start pushing some of the details that we have throughout the face, switching to the other side and sort of doing the same thing. And I missed the one on this cheek, so let's fix the one on the cheek here before I start getting into that. Right? So we have the nice scars on the head and everything like that. Coming in here, again, pretty much exactly what I just said. I'm just going to come in and start like working in some of the details to this. And where I'm going to kind of start is on the brow line here, because in our picture it's probably the most noticeable as far as like the levels of detail and things that we can get in here. Okay, so I'm just going to turn back down that lazy mouse because the thing's a little bit long there, the tail on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it back down. It's on by default on the damn standard brush. So again, just coming in here, sculpting this out, pushing some of those details. You can see where the cut is and where you have creasing in the forehead. It kind of follows along that cut. And we have a nice thing coming off the brow line here. So let's just go ahead and push some of these details, because again, this is where the asymmetry starts to come in. So push these details out a bit. And I'm just kind of carving them in here with what I'm doing. And again, we got one that comes from this cut. It looks like it comes up and connects to the other cut there. Nice forehead wrinkles. It's got a pretty head. You can see like the minor skin folds and things in here for where that is. Again, it's pushing some of the other stuff in here. And I'm just blocking these things out. I'm not really coming in and getting them like the super high res detail that I'm going to be doing here in a little bit when I actually do get to upping the topology. Because before it's like I tried to do it and it just, you know, Zbrush and the computer said we're just going to sit here for 20 minutes. So decided to restart and just kind of like work in the details that I could. So again, you know, just push some of this stuff a little bit in here, right? We'll probably just leave these creases and things in, maybe get the lips a bit. Again, at our current level of Dynamesh, it's going to be a little bit rough to get some of the stuff in here. You know, we're only at 500,000 points, which for ZBrush really isn't all that much. I mean, for a head, it's a lot for a head, but not for a head in ZBrush. Okay. You can see that he's kind of got like the nice curvature of the lip there. Maybe sculpt some of this out. Come to our clay buildup BCB. Sculpt this in here. Maybe fill out the lip a bit on the bottom. And it's, you know, we're just trying to get like an overall kind of sense of adding some shape at least to the side that we can see. Right? I'm trying to get that stuff in there. He's got like a nice thing where his tooth comes from, which is another one of those like gashes almost from like, you know, his gnarly tooth there hitting the lip. So we'll just kind of pull that up and through. Again, let's take my damn standard on the other side of it, just kind of fill it in, come back with a pinch brush. Yeah, pinch brush. Not insert, whatever the hell brush that was. And just kind of like pull that stuff back together here, right? Lightly smooth out, come back in, do a similar thing right here. Maybe not dynamesh the corners, just kind of do one of those, lightly smooth back. And it starts to get that shape, right? We can see like our nice gash up top here and all that good stuff, right? You guys with me? All right. So again, just coming in here, we go ahead, start filling this in a bit. Maybe come in and pinch that a bit. And what we want to do is on the other side here, okay? Maybe add like another cut somewhere around here. I kind of feel like it needs it. But for right now, what I want to do is I'm just gonna make the lips on the other side and start from there. So again, just starting from there, I can kind of see this on our actual picture. There's a nice little gouge like right here in his lip. So I'm just gonna kind of come in and push that in there, smooth back a bit, take my pinch brush, BPI again, and just kind of pinch that in there. Maybe fill in the other side of the cut a bit, my clay buildup. Good old BCB. Fill that back in there. Again, we'll try to follow what we see on the other side a bit, because I mean, for the most part, like faces are somewhat symmetrical. They're not like perfectly symmetrical, right? But you at least want a little bit of symmetry to it, unless you know you're doing Sloth from the Goonies, and then it's like, well, you know, the eye just kind of like fell down there. Maybe we'll bring up the lip a bit on that side, right? Fill in. And this is where, you know, a lot of times you're given like a piece of artwork and you get a little bit of the artistic liberty when doing it, right? Especially if it's just like a portrait like what we have. We got a nice 3/4. We can kind of go, well, I think it should look like this on the other side. But again, you know, you want to at least follow like rules of topology. It's not like, well, I couldn't see the other side, so I just sculpted like this really weird head, you know? I think his other side should look like a dragon. So doing this, just coming in here. Maybe looking at this piece of the face here. Maybe he's got like a nice, like where the lip meets. Maybe he's got like a nice cut like right here or something. So we'll just kind of like flay this out. Again, this is where our awesome artistic liberty comes in. And the old Glasgow smile. Pinch brush, pinch the edges. Pinch it together, make sure it comes to a point. Again, like where there's cuts like this generally, the tissue kind of sags a lot of times. right? I always forget when I come back in, I gotta turn the mask lasso back on, so you hold control, click it, and then find the mask lasso. So I can mask lasso out at the top here. So you can just kind of do one of these. Maybe come back and cut that a bit more. Follows up into the lip. Something like that. Again, you can start to see like the actual polygons there. It's because of the level of detail. So I'm just going to re-dynamesh real quick, and that should even out some of this. It's not going to do like the best job at it, but it'll at least give me something to work with as far as just like coming back and touching up a smooth with my damn standard, and then just coming in with my pinch brush and pinching the corners again, and then pinching this kind of flat here back together. And I'm going to try to pinch this together. It won't always work, so come back in with my clay buildup, doing these so that we get a nice kind of flow to this, hopefully. Maybe mask out the side here. Alright, he's nice. I made him pretty. So he's nice and pretty now. With his awesome cut. So again, we're trying to differ from side to side here. So maybe on the other side, you know, you make a face, generally like the face that you make isn't even, so we're just going to come in and maybe take a move brush a bit. And just, again, I'm not like doing it a lot, but you can see just that little bit kind of gives it a little goes a long way, right? Use my clay buildup, maybe the crease for the smile line to the cheek here. Fills in a bit more on this side, and then maybe you get a little bit more, maybe because of this cut that we made right here, he's got a bit more pitting in the cheek. I'm just going to carve that back, and then since I carved it back, what I can do is just come in and fill that in. That's all this is. It's just coming back and forth and just kind of, again, with the other side here, we get a little bit of artistic liberty, but you know, things usually follow certain, I wouldn't say rules, because you know, rules were meant to be broken, but it follows like guidelines, right? Like it'll be similar to the other side. There's places where you get nice, I wouldn't say like pitting, but that's, you know, the wrinkles. You look at people's faces, they wrinkle in parts of articulation, right? The corners of your eyes, your forehead, because your forehead moves when you talk, your cheeks, the smile line, basically the skin kind of starts sagging on your face, and that's why you start to get the pouches, right? So again, it's just coming in here and getting some of these details in, making sure like the cheekbone follows and whatnot here. Just using the between the dam standard clay buildup, sometimes the inflate brush, right, BIN. And what you can do with that is where these creases are that we've made, you can come into the middle of it and just kind of inflate them out, and then I'll kind of pronounce the way that it goes. Okay, you can see how it kind of pronounced that out a bit. Just come in and you know, sculpt some of this back because it should flow out of the eye here. And again, we're just trying to get a nice look to this, right? Even better, you know, maybe he's got a broken nose, just shift it off to the left a bit, or right. Add some character to it. Again, like, you know, our reference is just that. We want to make it look as close as we can to our reference, but at the same time, you know, you get a little bit of artistic freedom when it's just a picture. Like if it was like straight up orthographics, or we were trying to make it look exactly like a person, you know, like we had photographs of a person, or like straight up orthographics where it's like this is exactly what you need to make it look like, it'd be a lot different than, you know, where we're at now, where it's like, you know, we're doing this from a painting that somebody made. Okay, so because it's the painting that somebody made, you know, we're given a little bit of, well, I'd like to see, you know, a little bit more character in there, as long as it resembles. Like I can look at this and then look back to the painting and go, yep, that's the one that I did. Good old age polish, maybe get some of those a little bit more plainy on this side. Plainy, it's a word, I promise. A little bit more flat, there we go, that's the better word. Again, try to follow like a lot of what you did on the other side. Like follow it, but it doesn't need to be exact, you know. Huh? There you go. Because again, people's faces are similar from one side to another. It's just, it's such slight differences that make like a huge deal. It's that old take a photograph in Photoshop and like mirror it to the other side. It generally looks weird. It's a fun thing to do. And again, like I'm just laying in the groundworks for a lot of the detail because we're going to come back at a higher resolution here and really, really hit in like a lot of these details. Okay. But one of the reasons I keep having you guys do busts every day is because again, you start to get like a feel for how this stuff will go in the face. You know, try to vary it up with different species instead of, hey, let's just sculpt a bunch of people. That's great. Yep, I hit it. You can tell it's because it's lagging. Dynamic subdude. Again, you know, get all quiet here sculpting. We start to get a nice, you know, the variation from side to side. You guys seeing it? Right? Because he's, you know, that nice orc warrior. He's been through some shit. And again, this, like, all I'm doing is just kind of like adding in some of the like skin details just real quick with like the good old damn standard brush. here, right? And it's not like anything like crazy. I'm just looking kind of at the picture and just making some assumptions on like what I've seen from photographs. Okay. But again, when it comes back to it at the end of the day, you know, the way that this flows follows the musculature underneath. So again, it's getting that in there. And again, I can't emphasize enough, this is a kind of a feel thing, where you get a feel for it and you look at this stuff when you're doing it. You know, it's not like I just kind of came in here and I was like, I keep saying it's like the Matrix. It's like, oh, I can sculpt. You know, download the program into my head. I can sit here and mess with this to kind of get the stuff that I want out of it. You can start to see that that takes on a nice shape for that whole thing. And any time you're like, I don't like it, just come back and swipe back through your history and it's, hey, it never happened, right? So from here again, I kind of like to stick with the Dynamesh method of this, where you keep bumping up on the Dynamesh. You could also go ahead and just divide it, but for right now I'm just going to stick with the Dynamesh. When I tried this last time, 512 seemed to be a bit much, so I'm just going to put it up to like, I don't know, we'll add, what is that, 256, we'll add 64 to it, put it at 400. Would be 410, but I'm just going to put it at 400. Again, it doesn't have to be the bit rates, but the bit rates help. So just putting it at 400 should put this up to like around 1 million-ish, hopefully. If my computer doesn't just like die on me here. There we go. Yeah, it's about 1.5 million. So again, it doesn't really look like anything happened, but if I come back and just like lightly touch up like a smooth, you can see that it retains the detail and it smooths out some of those like squares that we had in here. Okay, like where we can see the actual topology. Alright, and again, the more we do this and the higher we go, the better this is going to start to look. But again, you don't want to, one of the biggest mistakes that I feel like with people that are new to this program, well, people that are new to 3D in general are like, we're just going to go all the detail. You know what I mean? You bump it up to like 4 million and try to sculpt on it, and then you can't smooth anything out, and you sit there and get frustrated. Instead of doing that, you know, you got to slowly work yourself up. And I can't really just say, you know, this is a, you know, once you have everything like this, then you go to here. It's you got to like sit there and have like experience with it and just kind of like fiddle back and forth with it. Okay? The more experience you have at it, the better you get. And again, this is why we're doing a sculpt a day instead of just kind of, you know, let's make 5 noses, let's make 5 ears. You know, it's not a bad exercise, but at the same time, you're not getting out of it what you probably could had you been doing a whole head. And again, I'm just, you know, I smoothed it back a little bit, so I'm just coming in and touching up some of the details that we had in the face here. And this is where, you know, we're at 1 million now, so I can really start kind of hammering home some of the details that I'd like. There, at this point, there's usually not a lot of dynameshing. Like in the beginning, you know, I'm like, I'm changing the shape massively. So we need to kind of like re-dynamesh in order for the shape to keep up with what we're doing. Okay? But since we're not doing that anymore, we can come back and really kind of work in the details. It's got kind of like almost like a pock mark there. So just kind of try to emulate that. And the majority of this is, it's just observation, guys. Like, a lot of art is observational skill, especially with what we do. It's the attention to detail that really, really matters. And that's what will set you apart from everybody else if you start paying attention to, like, little things. Again, with stuff like this, try to get into the character itself, That's what I was saying, like, on the other side, I'm like, ooh, maybe he's got, like, a scar here or something like that. And that's, again, at the end of the day, it's up to you to kind of tell the thing's story as far as sculpting it. And like always, try not to get fixated. I know it's hard. I do it all the time. Like, I'll sit here for like an hour sculpting the eye. Given the time, I'll be here forever sculpting one little tiny piece of the body and then forget about the rest. So again, we want to come in and make sure that we're sculpting out all this stuff, right? The eyelid goes up into the eye, right? Maybe even so that mask lasso helps a lot. We can lasso out pieces of this. You start to see the eye following the contour right there. Just take our clay buildup. Again, these folds will follow. This guy will have a nice gouge in there. Probably want to add a little bit more to the bottom here. And again, the little changes make big changes. They all add up. And really, guys, this is what you should be doing for the majority of your time doing this right now. Is, again, like, the whole purpose of being in ZBrush is to get these high levels of detail, right? If I wanted to just make it look like it did when I started the class, I could do it. Believe it or not, given time, I could do that in Maya pretty easily. Okay. I know a lot of you guys are probably like, there's no way. Trust me, given the amount of time, you can do a lot in Maya. It's just, this program is generally to speed up a workflow, okay? Because doing it in Maya would take me just as long as I can sculpt out like super high-res details for the face in here, all right? Which is what this program is for, to get like these, the crazy skin wrinkles and stuff in here. All right, and again, I'm going to do the eyes individually here. And this is what I was saying before, like just coming in here. I might even redynamesh this to kind of like give me a little bit more topology for the eye. And again, at this level of Dynamesh, it takes a while. This is why we don't want to like, this is another reason you don't want to like, just bust out and be like, Dynamesh 1024, bam, and 2 million polygon sphere, you know, and then you can't do anything with it. It takes like 10 minutes to like Dynamesh every time. Take you forever to get the detail that you want. But again, you know, I keep saying it, but what's going to set you apart from other people is doing what I'm doing now. It's like, you know, who's going to sit here and take the time to do this in the inside of the eye? You know, everybody else is going to sculpt the other stuff. A bunch of people can do that. It's not hard to do. Again, use the power within the program. You know, one of the most powerful things in Zbrush is the masks. You know, honestly, like I would probably use Mudbox a lot more if I knew how to use the masks, just like I do in Zbrush. Because I mean, Mudbox is freaking amazing. It's amazing for painting as well. You know, I prefer the painting in Mudbox over Maya or Zbrush. The only big difference is the masking. It's the only thing that really sets it apart, in my opinion. But again, it's probably not the masking. There's probably just as much stuff with the masking. I just don't know how to do it. And I haven't taken the time to research it. I don't like the way that's flowing out there. Maybe we'll just bring that whole chunk back. Again, I keep talking about, like, you know, it's just this little, watch how much I move this. Oh my god, look at that sculpt. You've moved so much topology and geometry. Just that little bit. Oftentimes when sculpting, sound effects help. You know? Again, the inflate brush a lot of times for like where these things are. If you go to the middle of this, you can kind of like bulge up where those are. Zbrush and its intuitive naming system. Well, this one kind of makes like an inflate, so we'll just name it inflate. Right? This one pinches two surfaces together. We'll just name it the pinch brush. This one's like a standard brush, but it's like damn, so we'll just name it damn standard. No, it's actually named after the guy who made it, Damien Cartel, or Cartel. I can't even remember it. I don't know how to pronounce people's names. Candrel. There you go, Candrel. That was close. Hopefully nobody ever watches these videos besides you guys. To be like, this guy is like terrible at talking. He sits there and talks for 3 hours and sculpts stuff. That level of concentration. And again, you know, I told you I'd revisit this, so let's revisit that nose gash. Maybe square off the top of it there a bit. Again, hours and hours and hours spent doing this. You guys have to understand that, you know, I'm limited to, I mean, I could work on this outside of here, but for the most part, I'm limited to the amount of time that I have for us in class, right? So, eventually here I'm going to have to push on to some more stuff, but I'm not, you know that I'm not thrilled with where it is right now. Like, I'm happy with what it's looking like, but, you know, I want to be like, yeah, freaking nailed it. Okay? So, again, there's still a lot more detail that needs to be put in as far as, like, the shaping of the face. And a lot of the stuff you can see on the lighting of the painting. You know, realize that it is a painting, and the lighting and stuff, you know, it came out of somebody's head. But for the most part, like, these painters are really good, and they usually use pretty decent references to paint this stuff. But I'm paying attention to, like, the changes in lighting right here. So that would just assume that, you know, this has, like, the bumps and flats, like right up in here. Okay? But again, you start to look at this stuff, and this is how this is coming along. So what we're going to do right now is I want everybody to just take a break, get up, stretch your legs, and